Hi everyone, welcome to Tech Down Over, that show where we talk tech, audio, video, gear, everything having to do with tech and digital. I'm joined today by my good friend and co-host, Jeff Blanchard, or as we call him lovingly here, Double O Blanchard. How are you, Jeff?
Good, thanks, Rick. As always, there's plenty out there for us to spend our money on. So
there is, and you have a new toy you're going to talk about, but let's do our intro first. Here we go. Yeah. And we are back, and we had a little change to our show thanks to Microsoft, and the change was we were dead for 3 weeks, almost 3 weeks, let's say 2 weeks. Microsoft issued an update, which was really more of an earthquake, and what it did to us as vMix users, and by the way, it did the same thing on Wirecast, it killed anything we had to do with audio or video. Kind of tough when you're trying to run a show. And no fix for it. We tried everything. There's nothing literally on the web that we could find on it. Martin Sinclair from vMix was kind enough to send me off to the burn-in test site where they have, I think it's Password or something like that. Anyway, they make certification software for machines. So when you burn in a new machine, you can run all the tests on it. And we found out we really had no hardware issues. Therefore, that left one thing, software. And that left another thing. vMix hasn't updated in a while, but Microsoft has on many occasions. And it was Win 10, and it was an update. In fact, I was watching Streaming Idiots with Tom Sinclair the other day, and he too was hit by it. His error was different from ours. In his case, his memory ran full and his CPUs ran full. So he crashed because there was no memory anymore. We crashed because the audio and video media management system was blowing up. And that's the one Martin knew about. So obviously Microsoft has been launching an all-out attack on anybody who is broadcasting, because we're all dying out there. The only thing we could do, we reinstalled Windows 10 twice. The third time, and these are brand new installs, the third time we went to the Windows beta because Martin thought they may have fixed it there. Nope, didn't do a thing.
No.
And finally we had to go to 8.1. because that's the only thing that fixed it. And it took us a long time to get through all the tests and everything, and finally gave up, scratched the disks clean again, and went to Windows 8.1. Now it's working fine.
Well, I must admit, because Microsoft have Skype now, though, don't they? And when we started this, I had the Blackmagic Intensity Pro, just sat on this computer, hooked up and going through Skype, so I could use my normal video camera. But then they upgraded that, and you could not do that anymore. Then I had to go through Wirecast, through the virtual setting there, to go get it onto Skype. But also I found sometimes on Skype, I was talking to just one cousin the other day on Skype, and that ate up all my memory, and I could see it going down. I've got a monitor saying how much memory, and I got down to 1 megabyte of memory left. Luckily, it didn't crash.
Much. Yeah.
And then I shut everything else down. As I said, that didn't work. But as soon as I shut Skype down, I got it back. I always thought it was something else. I thought it was something else draining it, but it was Skype. So that sort of can be a bit annoying when so many people do depend on Skype to do business calls or shows like this as well, because you just don't want to have the interruption. But I've been noticing lately, everybody has dropouts. I know. Watch Leo Laporte, and very rarely did he have dropouts. He's got much more sophisticated equipment, but he still gets people dropping out, and it's just
definitely. Welcome to the world of mediocrity, brought to you by Microsoft.
Anyway, but then they also, hopefully it's leading towards something better in the future. So we always have to go through the bad times before there's something really good.
That's very optimistic.
I was just going to say, I like to feel optimistic that you've got to do something bad first. But
yeah, that's true. And Microsoft's really good at that. So they've been doing that for many, many years. So I guess eventually something good will come out of it, like Linux.
But then again, I suppose we can go back to the good old days when we had nothing. So
That's true. Yeah, just
so
try
when
some.
nothing used to change, so you used to have just your.
I want to do a quick test
test.
because you and I are not hearing the intro. So let me try something. Here we go. Nope, that didn't work. I thought if I upped the volume on one of these, but it didn't do anything. Okay, it was just a thought.
That's all right. Yes, but also I hark back to the days where we used to use WordPerfect, which had no GUI interface, and you had to do all the command keys. You had to do all the.
But it worked well.
But it never failed. But you had to really, no amateur could just get into there. You really had to know the product inside out, even if you just wanted to make the line bold.
Yeah.
And you couldn't see it on the screen. The only way you knew you'd done it right is if you'd printed it out on your old dot matrix printer.
Yep.
Going,
Yeah, that's.
They said, "What's a dot matrix?"
That's a dot
printer?
matrix. It's part of the matrix, kids. It
Is that
controls
something
you.
like
Don't worry about it.
Keanu Reeves would use?
That's right. It's an interesting world we live in, that's for sure. But it is interesting. Hey, you don't have it on the stand today on the boom, but you just got the Studio Projects C1 microphone.
Yes,
So
certainly
what do you think?
did.
What do you think of your C1?
Well, I'm really impressed with the big wooden box it comes in. Just think you've got this really great wooden box for something you probably won't sit it in very often.
No.
If you're using it, but it's quite a great box. But I put it on. I couldn't resist getting it out and having a go with it. But it does have just such a smooth sound, doesn't it, Rick? For as you said, I think what was your price? You about $249.
249, I think.
$249, and even mine, it's about under $400.
Okay.
That's Australian, but even with I got it from Amazon and with shipping and that came to around about that. But it was well worth it. But I do like the quality of the sound on it. But it just seems to be people just don't understand. They think we're just crazy, me and you, that we said, look, you've got a microphone. Why do you need another one? But they all have a different appeal to it. Like even this one, the Rode I'm using today, that sometimes has a little bit deeper sound, and it's good for what I'm doing now because I'm not going through any, not processing the sound at all.
Okay.
So, but it makes it a little bit deeper rather than tinny when it's not going through anything else except.
So that's not going through the PreSonus studio channel?
No, it's just going through the Shure the
X2U?
yeah.
Oh, really? Interesting.
So it's got but that's why I use this because it does make it a little bit deeper and makes up for the lack of the sound on that. Whereas,
well, you know what they say, real men don't need compressors.
Oh, yes. But what I like with the compressors, though, especially with the Aphex, is it just takes a lot of the noise and the echo. Like even I can hear it myself in this room, that little bit of an echo because it's in a bigger room. Whereas the Aphex and that tends
just kills it.
And if I'm moving left and right, it doesn't seem to make any difference to that. You don't have to be right on the mic. You can move a little bit and it just sounds the same on there. But that C1, I'm so impressed with it. I'm glad you put me onto that. So it's...
Yeah, I got that one from Connor Quinn, who's a voiceover talent. He's at voxguy.com, voxguy.com. He does a great job on voiceover, and he said he has used that many times, and a lot of people think it is a Neumann U87. That's, a $2,500 difference. So I'd say not bad.
And it looks like one as well. It looks like a Neumann, doesn't it? If you look at it, because I'm sure
the
they've
U87
got one similar.
is, I think, thicker, but I'm not sure. But it does look nice. Has a very modern look. Has a pretty cool stand it comes with.
And it just and I've found the little protector on the top. It's quite a big sound protector, and that does quite a good job for. I don't need the filter in the front. It does a really good job.
Yep.
And just the way you talk into it, it just is a really nice microphone. So I hopefully will do some more recording this weekend, but that's what I'm in the process of trying to convince myself I need another new computer so I can put that down there for the recording studio so I can get more use out of my microphone and more use just for doing the recording. Like this one, I'm upstairs in my sort of normal office type thing, but each week I take this machine and cart it downstairs, just as well it's all in one machine, but it's sometimes you want to leave one down there and just do your standard recording. I do have a MacBook Pro that I can take down there, but for some reason, when you connect that and put all video stuff on it, the fan goes at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and have trouble hearing myself speak sometimes. So.
Yep, and this is our rear shot, as you remember.
Yes, there we are. That's it.
Takes a shot of our rears. It's just a really good shot.
It is, isn't it? So it's like mine. I've got some really good shots too. You're not going to be on your own either. I'll do mine like this. See, that's a really good shot there too of me.
There you go.
Or else there's this one here where I can go there. Can you see?
That's a good one.
That's
an interesting shot.
And then I've got this one which vignettes me, so it does me. It's been quite good. I've been looking at Wirecast and not realizing all the different things, all the filters it does have.
They have quite a few.
It has quite a few, and some really good ones. Like now, you've got one to adjust the white balance. You can do the sharpness and the contrast, even in Wirecast, not just on the on the camera. So it does have quite a lot of things on.
I'm actually surprised that Wirecast has not yet come out with the Wirecast 7, because 6 came out over a year, not quite, maybe about a year and a half ago already. It's been a while.
Yeah, that's probably right, about over a year, because yes, I've just had my Wirecast proper license for about now. Yeah, this would be the 2nd year. So
yeah, so it's been a while.
Yeah, so they haven't done too much, but then again, it's working.
There's been 6 updates to Wirecast 6, so that's quite a few updates, but nothing really groundbreaking yet as far as what might come in 7, and I'm not sure, I can only speculate. But it would be interesting to see what they come up with. It's still a very good platform. We are using vMix here, and I think I like the UI better of vMix than I do of Wirecast, but I do like Wirecast. It's not bad either. It's just a little bit different. But you've seen this. I mean, this is the Wirecast UI that we see all the time. I just find this a nice interface. It's bright, it's sharp, the shots are big. It's not that small, whereas Wirecast, everything's teeny. You can make it bigger, but then you run out of space, and all the layers at once, I think, are hard to see. Whereas this is just a little bit easier. And on the left, Clark can click on different color flags, and when you click on those, you get to see different parts in much less clutter. So if we want to see just the shots we have for a show, we can go to that. If you want to see the inputs, we can only go to that. So it's an easier way to get around without having to really navigate through layers. And unlike Wirecast, it works beautifully with MIDI controllers and any keystroke I want, which I have not yet gotten Wirecast to work correctly on. It can do up to about 10 keystrokes, and after that, I'm pretty much dead. Where before, back in Wirecast 4 days, I could do anything. They changed that in 5. I don't think it was a good change, but I think they kept to it for some odd reason. But anyway, yeah, it's a good interface. It's actually fun to work with, and we enjoy using it. On the whole, it's been a very good product. And
one of the things I like with it is the iPad integration, or just the iPhone or anything on that platform. You can set that up as on your Wi-Fi area, and set that up as a camera as well. So you can set that on a tripod and do that. It's a very easy way to have multi-camera shots on a very low budget.
Oh, sure. It's not a bad way at all. And a lot of people are doing that with, there are some other solutions that aren't Wirecast. I know some people are doing live streaming off their phones and iPads, and they're connecting them all together, and that actually works pretty well on the whole. So, Jeff, what else have you been up to as far as gear, digital? What have you got your eyes set on right now? I know you like to buy things.
Well, yes. Well, if it's anything that's cheap and reasonable priced, it tends not to get my attention, which it should do, really. But what I've been looking at this week, we was talking last week, I think, just when we didn't have a show, but we had a chat, was about the Sony RX100 camera, the RX100 Mark III at about, I think, 1,099 Australian, about $799 your one, which was
you're talking about the RX4. That's the Mark IV.
So this is a Mark III, the RX100 Mark III.
Yeah, but they have a Mark IV.
Oh, do they have the Mark IV?
So there's a Mark IV.
because I was just looking at their website, and I did have that there that still was showing the that one there, the 100 on the screen there that they've got there, and that's the one with the fixed lens on there,
Yes.
which does have you know, they said the 20 megapixel, but also it does have what I like is still the 4K.
Right. But you can only record about 3 or 5 minutes in 4K.
I think, can you on that one?
Unless they updated it, that's all you could do.
But why I'm mentioning that one again, because I just saw with, was seeing today, they've also released the Sony RX1R Mark II.
R1R Mark II.
I don't know about you, but I get so confused with the numbers. I just said,
I'll
just have to live with that because I just don't
Mm-hmm.
understand what they're talking about on that. But it's a really strange camera because it's a full frame fixed lens camera.
Oh, it's one that's sort of round, right?
It's
almost like a camcorder.
It's this one. It's this one here. It's that one. It's
that one. Okay.
That one. And it's a full frame.
Full frame.
Full frame, but it's said it's the strange thing about it though is it's full frame, and here it costs about $5,499, and it doesn't shoot 4K.
Oh, why would it? It's Sony. They only specialize in 4K.
But I just don't understand. Well, the one whether you can have the different lenses on the 7 Mark II, the normal one. Yes, that is 4K, and you can interchange lens. But this doesn't have it at just 1080p. But I was watching that Digital Rev, the fella from Hong Kong, who did a review, but he was in London by the looks of it. But it looks a darn good camera. But like they said, it does all the great things of the other one with it being the full frame. But it just said it's so expensive for what it is.
Well, look at maybe they're taking a book from or a line from the Canon Playbook. Come out with more and more expensive cameras, but make sure they only do 1080p. But if you want 4K, we have it, but it's going to cost you double.
Well, that's where somebody was saying, I think in the same breath with the Sony, was saying about Canon and mirrorless cameras. You know, they've really got nothing decent in their range either. Like everybody else has got a decent mirrorless, but Canon haven't.
Well, Canon has one that's kind of cool. I think it's the M1 or M3. Maybe it's the M3. And it's nice, but it lacks stuff. Again, it's only 1080p. I heard it morays horribly, but it's a cute looking camera. It's interesting what they've done. It's under $1,000. I think it was 8 or 9. Maybe it wasn't that much. Maybe it was about 600 or 700. Again, mirrorless, but it's almost as if both Canon and Nikon have barely touched the surface of mirrorless. Meanwhile, you've got Fuji and Olympus and of course Panasonic wiping everybody, and Sony wiping everybody with the mirrorless.
Because there was this fella, I don't know if you listen to his podcast, I listen to it each week. It's only about 20 minutes on audio one, Sharky James. He does a photography podcast, and he was saying about that Canon, the M1, he said, but really, have you ever heard of anybody owning one?
No.
And he said he's in the photography. He says, he's never heard. And he said, nor would you expect anybody who's got any sense in photography in owning one. He said, because there's so many better things out there. But
well, I have a theory, Canon, it stands for a cannon shell, and they're just turning it on themselves and just bombing themselves. I still don't get their strategy. I mean, they have good cameras, but I don't get it. I'm just confused. Meanwhile, Sony... You know, I like Sony and I don't. I'm not motivated to buy it. I find their cameras too small. They're very uncomfortable for my hands. The lenses, from what I hear, aren't that good. You have to spend a fortune to get good lenses. And you can get adapters, but now you're back into the adapter world. Yes, the cameras do a lot of cool things. They really are cutting edge. But you're stuck in that kind of not quite complete world. Now, you know, we bought some Canon and some Nikon full frames in December, and they're very good. Yes, they're not 1080, they're not 4K, but they shoot beautiful 1080 60p footage. It looks really good, and as full frame cameras, they're gorgeous. And we're putting Sigma and Tamron lenses on them, and man, they just look good. And Canon, you know, I did buy the 7D Mark II. I don't know why, but I do like it. It's a fast camera. It focuses pretty quickly. then, of course, we talked about this a little bit. I think only you and I talked about it, but Canon comes out with a brand new camera, the Canon A TD. That's a 7D plus 10D. And that's about what they added, 10% new and big deal. It's like, really? I mean, so my 70D may not be as fast, but who cares? And it may not have some other features, but really, who cares? It's still 1080p, but I think it does 60 frames a second now.
Well, that was one of the two things that changed. It went to 60 frames, and also they added, what was it? I think it was 22 megapixels as opposed to 20 or 24.
Right.
So a few more megapixels, but that was about it. So, but Rick, with the Nikon ones you get with the video, does that record use the full frame, or does it crop the?
No, it is full frame. Well, no, not really, because a 1080p is smaller than a full frame. So it doesn't really use, I think, the full frame. So from that point of view, no, it's not really full frame. It still looks darn good. Because full frame, even if you cropped it down, you'd still be at less pixels. They may shoot full frame. Honestly, I haven't really thought about that much, but I would say no, it's probably cropped down.
But I tell you, I've seen a lot of the footage from those Nikons and the D750.
It's good.
And the 1080p, but it's such a better 1080p than I've seen on a lot of other cameras. So it's well worth getting that. But when you get the Nikons in those 750s and the 810s, you're not getting it for a video camera.
No,
but it does you're getting it for predominantly the still frame.
Right. But I mean, they do both. They do both and pretty well. But yeah, it's not a 4K camera. Does it bother me? Not that much. But when I shoot with my GH4 or the GX8, they're both Panasonics and they're 4K. The 4K looks good. Even the pictures look good. They're just not quite. The depth of the color depth of the pixels looks better on the Nikons. The pictures really do look good. You can get them looking pretty good on Panasonics and on the Panasonics with good lenses.
Well, see, my favorite one is the FZ1000, and I'm so glad you put me onto this when you got yours, but it was just such a good camera. And one of the things I like with these fixed lens cameras is I can't get dust on the sensor with them.
True, you can't take them out. Yep.
Because I can't change it. But I know on my Canon 60D, I've got some sensor dust on there because I know when I do nice blue skies, if you look at it, you can see all the dots on it. So I've got to get that clean. But it's like people take all this time and trouble keeping the lens clean and making sure that you can have scratches and dirt on that. It doesn't matter for that because it focuses past that. But it's the dust on the sensor that really comes undone anyway. So
yeah, we have the same problem here with the when you look up at the sky and you see all those little specks of dust. Actually, those are illegals flying in. That's another issue. So, yeah.
But I was having a look at a person showing you how to clean it and how to do that. And it was quite easy and they said, you buy this brush, and you do this and do that. And I looked up all the brushes and all the things that you need. Yes, you could do it in 5 minutes, but it's cost you $500, and you might take it to the camera store and they'll clean it for $40 for you.
I know, that's true.
And they're the sort of the professionals. But I thought, I could easily do that. That's nice and easy. But when you look at because if you get the inferior brush, you're just going to put lint and you're going to put more mess on the sensor. So I think it's getting a bit dangerous doing it yourself. But it was Ben Long does on lynda.com's got a little section on cleaning it, and they've got some good equipment there. A little thing that goes over your lens, so it shines light into the lens, so you can see all the dust spots on the lens with your eye. But it's
what is it, like a little infrared light or some sort of ultraviolet light?
Just a normal light, but just it fits on over the lens without the lens or the lens hole, and so with the magnifying glass and just a round light, so you can see all the little dust specks on there.
That's interesting.
Because I think everybody does the same thing. You shouldn't do, but you hold the camera up like that and screw them on that, and all the dust falls into it. You should really do them upside down. But even no matter what, you open it up, it sucks in the dust matter where you are. So
I like the people who open up and then look at it. Okay, that looks good. And And now you've just
Yeah.
introduced a lot of moisture and whatever else comes out of your mouth. That's good.
That's why that's another justification, having 2 or 3 cameras with you, isn't it? Just have you could have 2 of the 750s and one of the 810s with you, all have different lenses.
That's true.
So the reason why I
true.
do that is so I don't get lens dust.
Yeah, no other reason.
No other reason except that. So. But as I said, there's still so much equipment out, lovely equipment to do that. And we were saying about Canon and that with and Sony, at least Sony's been, trying something new and
They're
really
innovating. They're innovating.
At those sort of prices, at 5,500, it's never going to appeal to the mass public, is
No.
it? At those prices,
No.
it's always going to be, and the people like us who are interested, and all the people who've got their high-end Sony cameras, they do have issues, but they get something they can't get anywhere else.
Yeah.
So they put up with it. I was listening to somebody else's podcast the other night, and they were saying about when to adopt new technology, and there was one of the things was the same. Well, what does it get for you? Like, I think when the Red Epic camera came out, they said it gave people such a cheaper form factor to do such a great job. Said, but the camera wasn't that great at first. They had to have 2 or 3 of them because it kept breaking down.
It overheated. It had a lot of problems.
But they said, but that was better than going the other alternative, which was 10 times dearer or something. So they said that's a good way. They said, but if you don't get them, nothing will ever improve on that. But as I said, that's the time to buy new gear. And I started to close my ears at this time because I thought, I know he's correct. He said, buy new gear when it will do something better for you than you can't do now. So I don't. I always make up an excuse for something that I think it will do better for me. That it really won't do, because a lot of the time when you look at a lot of equipment, you can still do the same things. I do that with computers sometimes. I look back and think, well, really, probably in most of the things that most people do, other than the photography side of it, your old 286 machine will still do your Word and Excel documents. It's just all the fluff that people's put around the outside. Like your Word documents haven't changed, but they're taking up 25 megabytes with all the just the formatting and the WYSIWYGing and all the just the great things you can do in them.
Yeah, that's true. So what cameras are you looking to get? I know you've been wanting a new camera. You're thinking of things. What are you waiting for?
Well, I'm just waiting for, I think 4K. Like I like the Nikon D750 and the 810s, but then I'm thinking, I could probably just have that without that. I don't really need that, but it's something that, like I was just saying before, that's something that's new, because I'd really looked at what I do have. I've got quite nice 4K video cameras, the Panasonic HXC 1000, and that's really good, but there's nothing out there yet that really hits me. The Panasonic do have another one, but it's about $5,500.
Yeah, that's their semi-pro. I mean, it's really a professional camera.
Yeah. And as I said, I really don't need that. And for what I do, the other one does the job just as well for that. But I'm just waiting for something that just. The main one is just to get a full frame, because I just like the color and that. And I'm not like a lot of people who do think, well, I'll get a full frame camera and that will make me shoot better pictures. Well,
it actually helps. It actually helps, because I've noticed the better your camera, no matter how bad we can be as photographers, sometimes the cameras do, to a certain point, make up for it.
But the thing is, that's what they do for the quality of the picture, and so and that's why I don't mind going to the full frame, because that will get a better color, just a better image quality.
You still need framing and you need composition and everything else, but the cameras are very forgiving now and as I think it comes down to this with a camera: good glass, good camera.
Yeah.
You need both. You need a good camera with a good sensor, and you really need good glass. If you have good glass, you can almost shoot beautiful stuff. Now, mind you, I know some people who can shoot. They have full frame cameras, great glass, and they can't shoot to save their lives.
No,
they can't compose. They have bad eyesight. It's not good. And what I mean by eyesight is they don't know what to focus on. So they're looking at stuff, and it's just the composition is bad. They don't know how to use they're never actually even in manual. They're constantly in auto mode or or they've got strictly maybe aperture mode, but the aperture is one thing, but what about your brightness? You can change your eyes. So there's so much more you can do when you're in manual mode that gives you much more ability to compose and play in the camera before you even go out to Lightroom. And you can do some pretty good stuff on that. And that's what I see. If you have good glass and a good camera, you're going to be pretty happy. And then I'm starting to come to the conclusion that if you want a really good video camera and you want a really good camera, maybe you don't want both in the same thing.
No.
I'm just noticing that there's always a compromise.
And that's why I've said for a while, and that's why I've got a video camera, a couple of proper video cameras. Because people said, well, your Canon 60D back then said, well, I said it probably does a better quality there, but it's in the 60D before the 70 came out. The 60D is horrible for run and shoot video because it won't work.
It made a good camcorder.
You've got to set the functions. Then when you hit record, it's locked in. Whereas a video camera is not. You can record. You can change the, change the iris settings. You can change everything on the fly. You don't have to stop and start again. But the Canon 60D was great for on a tripod when you set up your shots. And then the 70 came in, which was much better. But I think you lose something because, like the Canon 70D, it's a picture-taking camera that has video on it.
It has very good video because of the dual pixel focus, which is very fast. Even the quick GH4 and some of the other Micro Four Thirds cameras, they're not as fast in some respects as the Canons at focusing. That's the one thing Canon has over everybody right now, and that's that dual pixel focus, because every single pixel in the sensor is a dual focus pixel. Nobody else has that yet.
And now if Canon, like you said, what am I looking for? Now, if Canon brought out, say, a full frame camera, like they've got, but with the flip screen of the A TD and all the different things with 4K, I would jump at it.
Yeah, I think I would too.
And about $2,000 or $2,500, I'd jump at that.
I've been reading that there's going to be a new 5D Mark IV. And when that comes out, that may actually, I don't know if it's going to have a tilt screen. People are talking about it. There's rumors. It's going to have 4K. I can only imagine what they're going to do with that, or what codecs they're going to use. They may blow it. And it's going to have very good pixels. I think it's going to be over 50 megapixels. So it's going to be a big sensor. But I don't know. Nobody really knows how good or how bad that's going to be. It'll probably be in the 2,500 to 3,000 range, which is okay for a full frame camera with 4K. I don't think that's bad. That would be competitive against Sony. The only issue is, will it be sharp? Will you have more capabilities? Are they still going to keep old codecs? Canon can only lose it at the rate they're going. They keep making mistakes, at least as far as what I'm seeing. I'm just not. I like their camcorder line. They do have some good camcorders. I will reserve my judgment on the C100, 300. I think they're overpriced, and they may be good, but they're harder to use than you need to. I don't think you need anything that difficult to use. At least I find it a pain to use, especially after being on the XA10s, 20s. There is a new XA30. I'm not sure it's worth it. It's a little better, but I'm just not convinced. I've got the XA25s right here in the studio, and they're very good cameras. And they're pretty good run and shoot cameras. They're small. You can take them and shoot very well, and they've got nice footage. Sony, Panasonic have some very nice professional camcorders. Every one of them is still cheaper than what Canon has at the C100. They all have very good sensors, and they mostly shoot 4K.
Now, Rick, have you had the Ronin out yet?
We have it out. It's on a tabletop being ready to be used, but we have not yet ever used it.
Oh,
I know, it's pathetic. Well, you know why? It took us a while. We've been very busy. And then when we finally took it out, we said, okay, where do we attach the things? You don't. You need to order attachment add-ons.
What?
So for a lousy $40 attachment, they don't give it to you. You have to go buy it. That's pretty irritating. Or $60 attachment. So now we have the attachments, and we have another one for a video camera, for a monitor. But everything has to be bought separately. So, and we'll see how those work, but we haven't tried it yet. like I said, we've been really busy and we haven't had time to just go play with it. That's happening soon. We do have it out. It is set up. We just haven't put a camera on it and said, let's go.
I'll just ship it over. I'll try it out.
Yeah, you probably get to it faster than we would at the rate we're going. Larry at Sammy's, just ship it to Jeff. That's it. That's Jeff. All you have to say is 00 Blanchard, and they'll find him.
Blanchard.
They will find him every time.
Yes, but it's that's a good thing with that, and that's what I like with your Nikon 750s and that. That's what would you be putting on the Ronin? Something like that? You
could. I would probably more likely put the micro four thirds ones. It's the Ronin. I mean the Nikon will fit, but it's with the lenses, it's getting close to that 6-pound limit, or it could get close to that. But once you have a camera on, you can't see the camera anymore. So you have to have an external monitor, and focusing. You can either leave it on autofocus, which we probably will. But if you have to do fast stuff, people are getting wireless autofocus systems because you can't get to the controls. It's in front of you down there somewhere. You can't see the back screen unless you kind of lean under. So you really need the monitor here, and as you're moving, you have to kind of look at that. Otherwise, you're not gonna see what you're doing. So it is a little tricky.
The one thing with that, putting on the Nikon and that, I've heard that the micro four thirds and that they're too light, and they the thing that keeps them steady starts to jitter because it doesn't have enough weight to settle.
But we have some heavy lenses.
Oh, as long as it said, because it needs. It said some people put their really nice light cameras on, and it says it does because it needs a decent weight to do on that. But I was thinking, if I'd had one of them, why don't you try? This might make it. Try your Canon. What's it? The 30s. What was you just said? The RX.
Or the RX. We don't have the RX, but
the video camera. No,
actually, the 70D or the 7D Mark.
The video camera. What's that one?
Like the XA25 or the XA20.
Yeah. Try the XA10 because you've got a couple of them laying around. Because if you balance that screen will come out to the side and balance it with that. Then you'll be able to see the screen. That's a good one, and that's a decent. Not too heavy either. But it might be heavy enough because. I'm twofold here. If it works for you, then I can get one easy for mine. But I thought that might do well because it work. Yeah, because if you balance that one, you've got your screen showing out to the side, so you should be able to see that it's not on the back of the camera.
You may not see it too well because you've got a big rod in the middle of it. Even though you're there, it may be uncomfortable to hold this way and do this. You're going to be kind of twisting your neck. You're going to be sore. So you're better off putting the monitor up here, and you can just see as you're walking.
That's right. You probably are better if you've got that. Yeah. And have you seen? I've seen there's a micro thin HDMI cable. Have you seen that?
I think
it's sort of like your earphone, about as thick as your earphones, that goes from your camera to that, so it doesn't affect the camera movement when you.
Okay. Yeah, I have heard some of the cables, if they're too rigid, can cause a little bit of. They're sensitive motors, I guess. But the videos I've seen look really good. What we'll get, I don't know. We'll have to see. So it will be interesting. Well, I think we're going to have a guest, by the way, Jeff. I think we're going to have a guest next week. I am not sure who. We have several invites out. We are reaching out to Mr. Bloom, Philip Bloom again. He was actually scheduled to come on the show about 3-4 weeks ago, and he had an emergency trip to New York for a shoot, so he had to reschedule. We're waiting to get in touch with his admin, Joanna, who's lovely, and see what she says. So we hope to have him on in the very near future. We've also got letters out to the camera store guys and a whole mess of other people. So I'm looking forward to getting all of them on. It'll be a lot of fun. And then, of course, Tony said invite me anytime. So we'll invite him back real soon, as well as we're talking with Corey Benoit from Famous Media. We're going to try to get him to do a show with us. So we're going to have a lot of fun with this stuff pretty soon. So,
as I said, I've been watching Tony's show on a Friday night, and he was one of the first ones to get the review out on the Canon A TD.
Yeah.
And you've got to what? Have you seen that yet?
Yeah, I heard she was potty mouthing it.
No, have you heard the 8? But
no, I haven't heard his review.
Well, no, Chelsea does the intro, and she's done the Canon A TD song.
Oh, okay.
She does it so well with the guitar. I thought I would be too scared to do that, but she did it well, and she didn't, because I think she was a bit embarrassed to do it, but she did a really good job on that, doing the intro to the Canon A TD shot on that. So, but I enjoyed their review, and what I like with their reviews as well is, and all their different things, they do have sponsors and they do have that, but they just do say what they feel about a product. And that it's not always all glowing and that, and they'll say the disadvantages.
They're actually very honest about it. I think we should do a Canon ADD song to the tune of Gilligan's Island.
That's right. And did you hear, I've just heard the other day that, was it Sigma's just released a mirrorless camera?
A camera?
Yes, a camera.
No, I haven't heard that. That's interesting.
Yeah, and they said it sort of snuck up and said nobody ever expected that. But
well, everything Sigma's doing glows in the dark. That's the beauty of Sigma. And that's an inside joke, but if you know, Sigma is headquartered in Fukushima, where they had the nuclear meltdown. And ever since that accident, their quality has gone up 1,000%. So we're wondering what really happened in Fukushima, because Sigma is glowing.
And all the people have 4 arms, so they can get them cameras built
twice
quicker.
As productive, yeah.
Like the Simpsons, when they have all the fish with the 5 heads and
that's right.
500 eyes.
That's right. That's 5 and 500 are better than 1. That's correct.
That's right. But as I said,
it's really tough if you need glasses. Well, that's another issue.
But there's always plenty of gear to keep us going. As I said,
next week we'll have some videos and we'll have some other stuff. We've been gone for a while, so we haven't had a chance. We only got this up by yesterday, so this is our second show back up, and next week we'll have much more stuff ready for it, because I know you've been really busy, we've been busy, and so we're going to get some more videos and reviews. And by the way, we have to be very careful with our videos, because the gods of YouTube do not like anything that sounds like it might belong to somebody else, even though it's royalty free, and even though it's from a vendor who doesn't seem to mind you doing their stuff for them. So not a lot, but we've gotten several, don't do that. We're not doing it on purpose. And these are royalty free clips.
But even then, I've had that a few times. But as I said, I'm very, very careful at what I use. I pay a subscription to get some. I've got some music that I bought from with the license for it as well. But the thing is with YouTube, though, it scans and says this is the music that somebody else owns.
Right, I know.
And that's right. But all they're saying, and a lot of the time says, you've infringed that. Do you agree with that? And if you said no, say no. Why? Well, I've got a license for it. And then they take your word for it. Then if there's any problem, say, well, you did say you had a license. But what I do with YouTube, though, I find if you click them, I'm never going to have enough people to view to get any money out of it. I don't know how they get money out of it.
Hey, I have to tell you, Jeff, I looked at our analytics. Money, AdSense, how much money we made from YouTube last year. And I was really tempted just to quit and go live on an island somewhere. We
25 cents.
We made, actually, no, don't get greedy. We made 20 cents.
20 cents.
20 cents in 1 year. We're cranking. I mean, I went out and bought some new clothes, and just, it's amazing, 20 cents. And you know what? We didn't even have to work hard for it. It just showed up.
And that's what I found. If I don't, because I said, I don't know what is worth it. And they're saying even the people who've got millions and millions of views, they said, they're all making a living. I don't think they are. I think they're making a living from the other things off YouTube that get them and selling things, but it's not the YouTube that's making money. I think they're selling
services on how to make $1 million.
And also what I do is, so I don't ever click that monetize, and I think they don't. They're not as rigid on the sound if you don't click that, because if you're clicking that, you're selling it.
Right, I know.
And I think that's one of the big difference. But even Facebook, you just upload something that's okay, and they won't even show it.
I know. Yeah.
But then the thing is, Facebook, what I don't get is they won't allow you to upload a video that's got this in. But if you put it on YouTube and send a link, that's fine.
They're happy with that. Yeah, they just don't want to waste their servers.
They're not liable for it.
They don't want to. No, they don't want to put it on their servers. They don't have to do so much work. I mean, Facebook is such a reputable platform, after all. Anyway.
One of the other things I'm looking at in gear and that I've got my eye on, which is until it comes down, I'm not going to get that. But I've always been worrying about backups with all my video stuff, because each day you go out, you get more terabytes. It might be useless information, but you don't want to scrap it and just throw it away. So a lot of the stuff I do keep. But I've been seeing these LTO drives.
Yep.
Have you seen the new LTO 7s?
No, we have an LTO 5 here that we use for backups, but I haven't looked at the 7 yet.
7 terabytes on one disc,
On one disc.
cartridge,
That's
for
pretty good.
$149 a cartridge.
They're expensive, but they last a long time.
Yeah, but the machine that does it is $5,400
Which
at the moment.
isn't too
But for
bad.
a business,
I might
that's
tell
not too
Leslie
bad
that.
for business.
I might tell Leslie that because we were talking about getting a new LTO, and an LTO 7 with that price might not be bad.
So
we have an account with Dell,
Imagine
so,
products.
yeah.
If you have a look at Larry's production buzz, not the
Now, is he
last
almost
week-
gone? Is he gone at this point? And for all those who don't know, Larry Jordan is closing his business, and so we're all a little bit shell-shocked by that. But he had a blog out on Monday, but I haven't seen anything since. And it was a repeat of the blog not a blog, but it was a repeat of the post from last week. So we wish Larry the best, whatever he does. He's been a friend of the show and this and other shows that we've done. We just wish him the best. You always hate to hear somebody wanting to quit or give it up. He's, he's not a spring chicken per se. He's been around for a long time, but you just don't want to hear about somebody just giving it up. And he said a lot of it was due to his studio. It just cost too much to run, and it wasn't paying off the way he wanted. So we just wish him the best, and we hope to see him in another venture pretty soon. I'm sure we will.
The one I was saying, Rick, is the digital production buzz, and I think that's still going for a while. I think he said on that. So
Okay.
I hope so, because it has a lot of good content on it, and
Yep.
that's where I saw this week. You might have a look on there. It's this one here that they had. I don't know if you can see that on there. Yeah, so that's the one it was on with. It was Dan Montgomery on Imagine Products, and that was talking about the LTO drives and that.
Yeah,
so,
that's the latest one, right? I haven't seen that one yet. I think I saw the previous one.
Well, no, it's the one before that. He's at BVE in London.
Yes,
for the last one, but it's one before. But if you click on that link on Digital Production Buzz, that does have the link to where because he sells the LTO drives, and what he does have, which is quite interesting, is the software to categorize that, so you can have all your content without it being mounted.
Oh,
So-
okay, right.
So like your hard disk, you've got your hard disk, you've got all your files, you can see all your files, you can see everything that you've got, and then if you click on it, it says, well, put tape 8 in if it's on tape 8.
Cool, that's pretty good.
So that's good, because that's a lot of the thing where people don't like archiving and putting it where they'll never find it. So,
Right, that's true.
As you know, with an LTO drive, you can just mount it, copy everything over, and put it in the cupboard.
Right.
And people say, well, why would you need software? And it's about $499 is software, but if you want to keep, because that's what I would want, put it in a cupboard. But I would want to say, I want this bit. Oh, that's it. Go and get that.
And it's easy to go get it. Or if you have a changer, you can have it in that changer somewhere.
Yeah. And that's,
that's
what I
good.
do. Like at the moment, I've got the Drobo with about 15 terabytes or something, but you've got it always, everything there.
Right.
And you really don't need that. We could sort of get rid of it and use a bit more of that for your normal day to day. But
That's true.
It's just, there's so many good things coming up, isn't there? But nothing I ever seem to look at seems to cost a couple of $100.
No,
It's always $4,000 or $5,000.
That's right. They make it very dear, and on purpose. That way you appreciate it more or hate it more, one of the two. Well, Jeff, we are out of time. We've been going on for, how long have we been going on? Oh, how many? 48 minutes. So we're going.
Goodness.
So anyway, for you people watching the show right now, if you've made it this far, congratulations. You're in that special club of people who have nothing better to do. Now, we actually appreciate it.
Thanks very much.
Subscribe to the show and let us know what you think. Leave feedback, good and bad. We'll take both. We'll ignore the bad, but we love the good. And no, seriously, we do appreciate good and bad feedback. I can't even speak today.
Fad feedback.
Bad feedback. We'll take both. And we will see you next week. Hopefully we have another guest on next week. We're lining up a whole mess of good guests, so don't miss the shows. And go back and see some of our guests. We've had some great interviews with people you want to know. Anyway, have a good one, Jeff. We'll see you next week. on
Bye for
Tech
now.
Down Over. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.